She had been sent to prepare the old house for its owner, their family, and the weekend's guests. She had to get the place tidy by the following afternoon. Now, the bedroom at the end of the first floor was hers, but it smelled of dust and old paint, and so to soften the musty air, she lit a scented candle she put on the bedside table. When she did that, she watched its pale, flickering flame as it wavered and threw long shadow across the wall. She was alone in the cavernous house, and she pulled the blanket up to her chin, and she tried to sleep. She woke from a deep sleep in the low-lit room. It was almost completely dark, if it was not for the candle burning next to her bed, and the shadows from that flame dancing and bouncing about on the walls. She was bleary-eyed and confused. She sat upright in the iron-framed bed, staring into the dim, almost empty room, her skin prickling with goosebumps. She looked above her, and her mind searched for sense. Perhaps something has dislodged, a door handle maybe, or something that's been stored upstairs, a fragile trinket, shifting in the drafts of this ancient house. Or could it be thunder? Is there a storm? That must be it, surely. There must be a storm. Only the faint hum of the candle and the cold ache of silence. She wrapped herself tighter in the blanket, staring up at the ceiling, half hoping, half dreading that the sound would come again. And the candlelight threw green-tinted shadows that seemed to move in the corner of her eye. Morning came, grey and thin. It filtered through the fog, pressing against the window. She must have dozed off, hunched in her blanket, fists locked tight against her chest. Her muscles throbbed with stiffness as she rose, groaning at the lack of rest. Oh, the day would be short, and there was so much to do. As she left her room, her gaze found a small door. She hadn't noticed it before. There was a narrow staircase that stretched up into the attic. Should she check? Perhaps vermin had nested up there. First, though, breakfast. She needed strength. By late afternoon, the kitchen was scrubbed, the entrance hall polished, and all the wooden furnishings and panels were now dust-free. She had run out of excuses. The stairway to the attic was plain, narrow, unadorned, and as she climbed slowly, she let her fingers touch the side of the walls, where the green paint was peeling off, like flaking skin from a dead body. At the bend in the staircase, there was a stained glass window. It depicted a little girl with dark brown hair, dressed in a simple off-white gown. In her one hand, she held a rosebud, and in the other hand she held what looked to be a ball of some sort. The glass of the window was tinged with mossy green, and as the light filtered through it cast this pale figure, this spectral glow, onto the wall. And as the housekeeper walked by, the girl's painted eyes seemed fixed on her, quiet, watchful. She came to the small landing and a door to a room. It was above her own, and it was ajar, inviting. Inside the chamber, it was rather bare. Wooden floorboards, a chair, a tiny table with a candle stand and a small wooden box. No toys, no marbles, nothing that could have rolled. As she searched the room, nothing seemed out of place. She turned and looked, and a heavy thickness in the air. The greenish dust tightened in her chest. She pulled the door shut. She left. Evening drew down. Heavy clouds smothered the sky. She stepped into the courtyard, breathing deep of the damp, cold air, grateful to clear her lungs. And looking back at the house, she found her eyes pulled towards the roofline, towards the dark stack and the stained glass. No light, no sign. She went back inside and she checked each floor. The ground level, immaculate. The first floor, perfectly dressed. Beds smoothed and tucked, pillows aligned, and scented candles neatly placed. All ready. And still, the driveway remained empty. No lights, no wheels on gravel, no guests. She sat in the hallway in her uniform, the silence pressing in. The house seemed to be breathing above her. The sound came from upstairs, the attic. Her heart lurched. Slowly she stood up, staring up at the stairs. Step by step she climbed. When the fire crew arrived, the house was burning strong. Flames leapt from the roof, smoke spilling into the night sky. There was no chance of rescuing anyone now. They fought to contain the blaze, to stop its spread. When the fire was finally tamed, they found the corpse in the attic. What was striking was that whilst the body was scorched by the fire, curled up in a fetal position, one perfectly preserved forearm remained, and the hand clenched tightly around a round glass object. Not much else survived the inferno. At the far end of the second floor, gusts of wind blew in from a window, and as the body was carried up, one of the firemen held the glass object in their hand, turning it around. It was a snow globe. He couldn't resist. He gave it a shake, and inside, beneath the curved dome, the glittery white flakes of snow fell around the figure of a girl with dark brown hair, dressed in a simple off-white gown, and in her hands she held a rose, full bloom.